Okay, are you ready? Let's talk about my top 10 favorite movies to knit or crochet by. So, the first one, number one, is The Matrix, starring Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, and Carrie Ann Moss. Now, this movie is, now these aren't in any particular order, I should tell you, but this movie is probably one of my all-time favorites. It has so many interesting things to think about as we move into the digital age, farther into the digital age, and what that means to us and our survival. Now, the next movie, number two, Rosemary's Baby. This was made in 1968, starring Mia Farrow, John Cassavetes, Ruth Gordon. This is an excellent movie. It's considered a horror movie, but the scary thing about it is more so the way that people treated Rosemary than any special effects or anything spooky. It's just a great story. You watch Rosemary be put through all these different trials, and it just comes together very well. Okay, moving on to number three is The Exorcist, which was filmed in 1973. Now, this movie is as scary as it gets, and I'm only recommending it because I think as far as impact and longevity and trend setting, I think this is absolutely one of the top movies of all time. Now, definitely not a movie I would recommend for children, really anybody that's young and impressionable. I didn't even see it, and one of my relatives told me about it when I was 5, and he gave me a lot of detail, probably just to tease me, but it really just scared the life out of me. I've watched it over the years. I watched it several years ago, and it still scared me, but then I watched it again recently, and it made me laugh a little bit just because it's such a kind of far out story, but nevertheless, it pulls you in. It really gets inside your head. And the nice thing about knitting or crocheting to it is when you don't want to look, you can pretend that you're focused on your piece that you're working on. Now, at number four is The Godfather. The Godfather is just an epic movie, and this is the first Godfather movie. There are two other sequels, but this is the first one. It was filmed in 1972. It was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, and it stars Al Pacino, Marlon Brando, James Caan, Diane Keaton, Talia Shire. Just an outstanding cast. It's an outstanding story. It pulls you right in. It's something that you can really sit with for a while, and it really makes you care about all of the characters, and they're quite relatable in one way, but you're also kind of like a spectator on watching a family try to keep it together despite their exploits. So I highly recommend The Godfather. Coming in at number five is The Godfather 2. Now, sequels are very difficult to often make as good as the original, but this one to me is just as good, if not better in some ways. So The Godfather 2 is the sequel that generally contrasts the life of the Corleone father and son. So you're going into different time periods. You're given a little bit more history on the family via the father. And once again, this stars Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, James Caan, Diane Keaton, John Cazale, and Talia Shire. Another outstanding cast, of course, some of the cast returning from the original. So a great family saga, a great crime drama. Coming in at number six is Car Wash. Car Wash is a comedy starring Richard Pryor, Franklin Ajaye, I think I'm saying his name right, Bill Duke, George Carlin, and Tracy Reed. This is a movie set in a day in the life of workers, employees at the local car wash in Los Angeles. And although it's a glimpse into a daily life of a group of employees, it's probably one of the funniest things you'll ever see. It's just a lighthearted, lightweight, what is now referred to as a cult comedy. I highly recommend it. Okay, coming in at number 7 is Alien, filmed in 1979. I can't say enough good things about this movie. It stars Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, Veronica Cartwright, and John Hurt. And I just have always loved this movie. It's about a mining ship investigating a suspected SOS. It lands on a distant planet and all types of trouble ensues. So it has a great atmosphere, really pulls you in. It's very tense, I will say. This is one of these movies that I would say you will enjoy, but you may find yourself looking down at your scarf or sweater, whatever you're working on, just to give your heart a little break from pumping so quickly, so fast. This is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Its sequel, Aliens, plural aliens, is also good. I don't think it's as good as the original, but it's also worth checking out. Just a side note. Coming in at number 8 is Gladiator, filmed in 2000. Now, Gladiator is a movie I haven't actually seen in quite some time. I'd say probably at least 10 years, but it's the kind of movie that once you see it, it just stays with you. And when I was thinking about some of the best movies I've seen over the years, this is one of them. Filmed in 2000, it stars Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix, Connie Nielsen, Oliver Reed, Richard Harris, and Djimon Hounsou. And it is a story of a Roman general who faces betrayal and goes on a journey to exact revenge and all of the things that come along with that. It's beautifully filmed, it's well acted, it's a very compelling movie, and it's actually a great family movie. So I probably haven't named too many family movies on my list, but I think this is something that everyone could get something out of in your family if you have people joining you while you're working on your knitting or crocheting. So check out Gladiator. Okay, at number 9, we have Interview with the Vampire. Filmed in 1994, this horror movie is a lot to deal with, I would say. The first time I watched it, there are parts of it that just really got under my skin, really grossed me out. But that's part of the effectiveness of it. If you can get past some of the main characters' exploits, you have a great movie, great actors. It's a great period piece. It's based on a novel by the late, great Anne Rice. It stars Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Kirsten Dunst, Christian Slater, Antonio Banderas, whom I love, and Thandie Newton. I think you will enjoy this movie. It's something to definitely hold your attention while you're working on your sweater or scarf, which I mentioned with just about all these movies. They're great to listen along to as well if you're not always looking. Definitely a movie that you'd want to watch more than once. I watched it more than once. And the first time, like I said, it really kind of got under my skin. After a few years watching it later, I just found the story to be great because I am always creating clothing and accessories. I really got into the costumes of the time period, and it's just a movie that I really enjoy and I highly recommend. And last but not least is Paris Blues. Now, I reached way back for this movie. It was filmed in 1961. It's set in Paris, and if you love old movies with beautiful people and beautiful clothing and jazz, this is the movie for you. The music was composed by Duke Ellington. It stars Sidney Poitier, Diane Carroll, Paul Newman, Joanne Woodward. There's even a cameo, if you will, of Louis Armstrong. It has a great storyline. It's a romance. It's a drama. It's lots of good music. Highly recommend it. And I'm not always a big fan of older movies. Some of them just don't move fast enough for me, or they can appear sometimes wooden or dated for obvious reasons. But Paris Blues is a movie that still really resonates. It's beautiful, and I don't even know why it's not more popular than it is, but it's a great movie. So that's it. That's my top 10 list. Now, That list isn't organized in any particular order. They were just movies that came to mind when I thought of movies that I really enjoyed that I could watch over and over again. And I hope you'll feel the same way. Leave a comment, let me know what your thoughts are, what you like in this list, what you don't like. Either way, happy knitting, happy crocheting, and I'll see you next time.